Hello, everyone. I'm happy to have you today. Our webinar will talk about the conflict in the workplace. I will introduce the participants that come from different companies. In this webinar, we have Leila, the psychologist of a company, Salma, an employee, Hamza is the director of a company, Fadel is a lawyer, and finally, me, Islam, the human resource of a company. Experience concerning the conflict in the workplace. So conflict in the workplace is common. In any workplace, there are a lot of disagreement that disrupts the workflow. There is often situation in which people perceive a threat. They may perceive this threat as physical, emotional, or grab for power or status. Conflict can also occur whenever people try to make other change their actions or to gain an unfair advantage. Now I will give the floor to Salma, an employee within a company.
Hello, today I will share with you my professional experience as an employee in the workplace. What were the different conflicts that I have been through, the reasons behind those conflicts, etc. I was working for a multinational as a project manager, and the first reason behind tensions were the high competition that exists between them. I mean, normally competition is a positive thing that pushes employees to give the best of themselves. But when it is too extreme, which is the case here in this company, it will have the opposite effect, which is a sharp decrease in the profitability of my colleagues and I. In order to be rewarded
Hello,
by the
my
boss
name is
at
Hamza.
the end of the
As you know, I'm a
month
manager. My
or
job is to lead my
just
employees and assist them to achieve the goals in
always.
order to make our company successful. But the most important point about being a manager is to see my employees as self-sufficient as possible. I encourage them to manage and resolve their issues. I encourage them to manage and resolve their issues by their own. They have to stand for themselves. I don't want to be part of their issues as long as I am not concerned. Otherwise, I will be perceived as someone who applies favoritism among employees and encourage this type of work while I encourage each one of them to be responsible and I accept feedback from each one of them. One of the biggest mistakes managers make is failing to develop good working relationships with their employees. First-time leaders often default to responsible mode, while employees like the interaction between their managers and their employees. However, getting to know your team members and finding out how they're doing, not only their careers, but their professional lives, is a great way to create the necessary rapport to work as well as a group. Holding regular one-on-one meetings and checking with your employees can also help you establish good relationships with them. Thank you. Now I will lead the floor to my friend Fadel.
Uh, as a human resource manager, I will talk about why human resource managers have to get involved in conflicts in the workplace. Actually, there are a lot of reasons that it makes sense for the human resource to step in. Citing from them, loss of productivity, poor employee health, potential accidents, risk of legislation, wasted time, increased turnover. So as a human resource, the resolution that I use to solve such a problem are emphasize clarity and consistency in policies and procedures, make the rationale for decisions transparent, and ensure that the company leaders share the thinking behind the company's approaches and decisions, ensure accountability for conflict resolution, ensure all employees, not just manager of a human resource, are accountable for resolving conflict. Managers don't have to take care of every issue. The employee involved need to be part of the solution. Don't ignore the conflict. While there are some cases where short-term avoidance is part of the long-term solution, especially for minor issues. In general, avoiding conflict won't fix anything. It is especially important to not avoid dealing with conflict when it could escalate to violence. Seek to understand there are underlying emotions in conflict, and human resource and managers need to understand what is going on at the root of the problem. Recognize different circumstances and different approaches to conflict can make a huge difference, and sometimes simply recognizing what is going on is the first step toward resolution. It can also be a great way to learn about one another. Now I will give the floor to my teammate Fadel.
From my perspective, the issues surrounding conflict can best be summed up with don't fear conflict, but embrace it. While you can try and avoid conflict, which is a bad idea, you cannot escape conflict. The fact of the matter is conflict in the workplace is unavoidable. It will find you whether you look for it or not. The ability to recognize conflict, understand the nature of conflict, and be able to bring swift and just resolution to conflict will serve you well in the long run. Ignoring conflict and hoping that conflict will pass you by is not the most effective methodology for problem solving. Unresolved conflict often results in loss of productivity, creativity, and cooperation and collaboration. Two major causes of conflict are communication and emotional issues that arise in the workplace. If you reflect back upon conflicts you have encountered over your expertise in the workplace, you'll quickly recognize many of them resulted from a lack of information, or poor information, or no information, or misinformation. Let's assume for a moment that you were lucky enough to have received good information, but you didn't know what to do with it. That is still a communication problem. So moving on to emotion. Another mistake that is made often in the workplace is letting emotions drive decisions. Just emotional superiority causes a lack of collaboration in the work office. So one has to view conflict as opportunity. If you're a CEO who, for example, had to deal with conflict, embrace the opportunity and try to find the nature of it. Now I leave the floor to Leila.
Hello everyone, my name is Leila. I am a psychologist specialized in conflict. The first thing I want to say is that being able to manage conflict is probably one of the most important social skills we all need to possess in managing all our relationships, including at work. Unfortunately, we are brought up to avoid conflict and difficult discussions. However, in the age of collaboration and diversity, there can be no more shying away from conflict and having those difficult discussions. When examined closely, workplace conflict is often the result of a significant disagreement over goals or needs of different employees, and behaviors such as hostility, avoidance, and gossip. Unresolved workplace conflict may result in a drop in productivity, creativity, and innovation. The traditional view was that all conflict at work is bad. More recently, the human relations view has replaced the traditional view in that conflict is considered natural and inevitable when people are involved at any enterprise. Managed properly by both leaders and by employees, conflict can become a positive force and actually result in improved performance of the group. In the workplace, three types of conflict occur: relationship conflict, task conflict, process conflict. Relationship conflict focuses on interpersonal relationships. Such conflicts are often very messy and almost always do significant damage. Task conflicts are about what the work goals should be and about achieving these goals. If properly managed, this kind of conflict can help the group perform better. Process conflict is about the best way to get the work done. Again, when properly managed, this kind of conflict can be productive. My role within the company is to support employees and managers and help them properly understand and respond to conflict at work. I always advise them to follow these guidelines when dealing with conflict. First of all, accept the inevitability of conflict. Just recognize that addressing it is part of the job. Don't waste energy rumination about it, and don't feel bad. You feel bad about it. Just accept it for what it is. Second, don't be a conflict avoider. Difficult interpersonal workplace problems won't disappear by ignoring them. They will only get worse. Chronic conflict avoiders will end up losing the respect of others. Stay calm, even when provoked. Keep a close hold on your temper. Stay as calm as you possibly can. Maintain the moral high ground. This is a close cousin to the point just mentioned. Document meticulously. When serious conflict occurs, you will need accurate records of it. You will need clear documentation to avoid discussions dissolving into he said, she said disputes. And when it's necessary to terminate someone, you of course need detailed documentation. Don't think in terms of winning so much as constructively resolving. There is no point winning the battle but losing the war. Now I will give the floor to Salma, which is an employee in a company.
Hello, today I will share with you my professional experience as an employee in the workplace. What were the different conflicts that I've been through, the reasons behind those conflicts, etc. I was working for a multinational as a project manager, and the first reason behind tensions between employees in the company is the fierce competition that exists between us. I mean, normally competition is a positive thing. It boosts employees, to give the best out of themselves. But when it is too extreme, which is the case in this company, it will have the opposite effect, which is a sharp decrease in the profitability of my colleagues and I. In order to be rewarded by the boss at the end of the month, to be taken seriously by the boss, we always had to compete with each other on a daily basis. This very competitive environment pushes employees to be more selfish and more willing to work alone. Instead of collaborating and helping each other to achieve a common goal, we were wasting our time trying to get to do better things than others, and just trying to judge the work of others. We were not colleagues anymore, but more competitors or rivals. As a result, we lost this motivation that we should all have before going to work. Before integrating, this multinational, I had the opportunity to work in order to allow, that allows me, give me a certain experience on the field. As an employee, I was motivated, perseverant, so I think that I was qualified enough to run complex projects and make them successful, because I did it before. However, in this company, the big majority of employees were victims of unfair treatment, and it was actually my case. The different projects were not distributed to project managers depending on their qualifications, experience, and skills. No, they were distributed based on your gender or age. They believe that if you are a man and of a certain age, you are able to deal with complex projects more than any other women from all ages. This kind of attitudes create a certain tensions between all the project managers, because the majority of us were victims of lack of equal opportunities. I worked for almost 3 years in this multinational before finally deciding to quit my job in order to find a better one, or why not start my own business. As an employee, people, have to work on themselves, be more ethical, by giving equal chances to everyone and enhancing teamwork. That is nowadays the key for success. Employers have also to be, have also to respect the terms of the contracts in order to make employees more satisfied and motivated to work. That way, the profitability will increase, and it is a win-win situation. And now I will give the floor to Islam.
So finally, to manage conflicts effectively, you must to be a skilled communicator. That includes creating an open communication environment in your unit by encouraging employees to talk about work issues. Listening to employee concern will foster an open environment. Make sure you really understand what employees are saying by asking questions and focusing on their perception of the problem. Our webinar reaches the end. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and thank you for watching.